So after using a sandbox to create and test new record types for the case object, this is the final stages to show you how you would transfer it from the sandbox to the production org. And this is just the structure, just the record types, no data. So what we've done is we built, in an earlier video, we built a change set. We established the connections between the change set and the production org. And now we're going to continue, and what we're going to do is look at the inbound change sets from the sandbox to the production org. And what we have is a change set waiting. And so what we're going to do is to click in on that and to see what is it that we have. And so we have this inbound change set, which is new case types. You can see what we've described it as. There's a deployment history that says nothing has been deployed yet. And we have these components. If you click in on view source just to see what's there, you end up actually getting the underlying software for it, the instructions for it. Still waiting for deployment. But if what we do instead is to say we need to validate this and test and see what's going to happen when we import it into the system. So by clicking validate, what that does is to bring up this screen, which allows us to decide how we want to run the tests. I'm going to accept the defaults and click validate. And what it does is to say here just an information warning just to let you know that what you're seeing and how it's going to work, that it will lock resources. So there's some caution you need to take as kind of when you actually run this test, when other folks are active in the system. And we click OK here. And what we do is to get this, which says that if the deployment has started, we can track it on the deployment status. And it also still says that we haven't deployed it. And so if what we do is we go and click in on deployment status, what that does is to show us that we have in fact successfully validated. And so what we're able to do is to go back to our new case types, and we can say at this point we see the validate succeeded in our deployment history, so we know that that's worked. So we're now able to click deploy. And what that does is to bring up this same screen saying, how do you want the tests to run kind of as you deploy this? Because that's going to happen whether or not you run a validation. But this is running it as part of the deploy process because that validation was an optional step. And so we're going to say, yeah, we want to deploy this. And it brings up this message just to let you know that if anything fails, all the changes are rolled back. But if it's successful, the changes can't be rolled back. So this is kind of a final step where the changes will be occurring. And that's really why we've done this in the, creating a couple of case record types, because it's something that, that may be safer than others, but you can figure out which object you want to test with. So you click OK, and what it does is to say your deployment has started. And then again, there's an interim screen that popped up looking at deployment status, which tells us that it's progressing and that we could cancel it if we need to, but it's kind of running the deployment. And then when we click deployment status, we see that the deployment did succeed. And what we're able to do then is to say, all right, if it succeeded, let's go out and take a look. So if we go out to our, this is the object manager, and look at the case object, what we do see is that we actually have two record types that we created. And if we go out to look at our page layouts, what we're finding is that we also have new page layouts. We have a case layout and then case layout engaged and case layout basic. So that actually carried through. And if we go take a look at this record type, what we see is that we have built a record type, and we can also take a look at the support processes just to see what came through. And yes, we actually got that. So it was successful and very basic, but hopefully this is a good introduction to how to do change sets. Good luck.